Hello, everybody. We had a 21st century British writers session. This will immensely help you in GATE as well as MHSET, WBSET and other exams. Because contemporary literature is a very important portion of the exams these days. So, I'm sharing my screen. Today we have 21st century American writers. Are you ready, guys? First and foremost, we talk about Billy Collins. Billy is the name of William. He is an American poet, and he was also the Poet Laureate of America from 2001 to 2003. He is a very major poet, therefore, who wrote conversational and witty poems that are very famous. There is a very famous poem called The Apple That Astonished Paris. And there are also other poems like Poker Face. It is a collection. The Trouble with Poetry, Whale Day, etc. Have you heard of The Art of Drowning? That is also by Billy Collins. So these poems could be important. Please remember to look up Billy Collins. Will you do that, guys? He's a poet. Anne Tyler is a novelist. She has written many important novels, and she was also shortlisted for Booker Prize. She received Pulitzer Prize for fiction in 1989 for her novel Breathing Lessons. Pulitzer Prize is an award given to the American writers. Here, there is an ordinary couple in Breathing Lessons who are traveling to a funeral and back. It is all happening in one day. That is what Breathing Lessons is about. Anne Tyler's works are rich with sharply observed characters and everyday details of middle-class American life. Ordinary people, their everyday life. That is what she has written about. The Accidental Tourist is another important novel. The Accidental Tourist came in 1985. That was also a finalist in Pulitzer Prize. Baltimore is where she's from, I think, because many of her novels are set in Baltimore. Here, The Accidental Tourist is about a man who has lost his son. His son has been shot. And then he is trying to find out more about it. It would be great if you read some of these novels. Digging to America, that is another important work. A Spool of Blue Thread, then Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant, etc. And Tyler is a writer that we should all know because she's very famous. Marilyn Robinson is also a very acclaimed contemporary writer, and she is from Idaho. She has also won Pulitzer Prize for fiction, and she is a postmodern writer, especially since she was a student of the postmodern novelist John Hawkes. Marilyn Robinson has won a lot of awards, including the National Book Critics Award, Hemingway Prize, etc. She's best known for Housekeeping and Gilead. Gilead is an epistolary novel which won the Pulitzer Prize. Here in Housekeeping, there is a woman narrating her story. Then other novels by Marilyn Robinson are Home, Leela, and Jack. Will you please read a little bit about this author, Marilyn Robinson? Important. Then Paul Oster. Paul Oster is famous for New York trilogy. This has been a question in net already. City of Glass, Ghosts, and The Locked Room. That is the famous New York trilogy of Paul Oster. And they have asked, I think, the names of the novels in New York trilogy. It was published in 3 books, but it is now available in 1 book. And it is like a postmodern reinterpretation of detective fiction. You know, mystery and detective fiction. That question can be asked also. He is writing detective fiction, but in a very postmodern philosophical way. Now, some of the novels of Paul Oster have very familiar names. Leviathan, Timbuktu, and he has also written a famous book of illusions. I have mentioned only some of the important works. There are more important works. The book of illusions is written from the perspective of a university professor, and he lost his wife and child in a plane crash, and he is now living in a very isolated life. He's living a very isolated life. And this man is inspired by silent comedy. He watches a silent comedy of Hector Man. I think this question has come already in NET or some exam. The Book of Illusions shows a university professor's obsession with Hector Man, an actor. He has been missing for a long time. And then what happens is the story, the Book of Illusions. Hector Man's story is also told in this novel. Did you understand? Will you remember? I think I have seen this question somewhere already. He has also written a memoir called The Invention of Solitude. Remember, this is Paul Oster, a very important writer. Please remember to look him up. In our upcoming encyclopedia of the literature of the Americas, which will be ready in a couple of weeks, we will start pre-booking soon. We have given detailed exposition of these writers and their works. All these writers are there in our encyclopedia. Marsha Norman. I think she's a feminist also. American playwright, screenwriter, and novelist. And she got Pulitzer Prize. Some of them got for drama, some of them got for novel. Marsha Norman got Pulitzer Prize for drama. And Good Night, Mother, that is the play that got Pulitzer Prize. Getting Out is another play. The Secret Garden is another play. In the encyclopedia, I've talked about Night Mother, Good Night Mother. That is the title. It's about a girl called Jessie and her mother. That is the story of Night Mother. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. Then Tony Kushner. Tony Kushner is another important writer. I have discussed him also. He got the Academy Award for the best screenplay. Angels in America. That is very famous. Angels in America, a gay fantasia on national themes. In our upcoming encyclopedia, guys, I have kept a separate chapter for LGBTIQA+ and minority writings. In our encyclopedia, there are so many different, there's a history of Hollywood, and only volume 1 is coming out. You should get both volumes. It'll be an amazing asset because so many new things I have included there. Tony Kushner, please read Angels in America. It's very famous. It contains 2 lengthy plays, and it touches on the AIDS epidemic. Which of the following writers has not written about AIDS can be a question in your exam. Remember, Tom Gunn has also written about AIDS. Tony Kushner has written, and he has also written A Bright Room Called Day. A Bright Room Called Day. That is an important work as well. Tony Kushner. Will you remember? The next writer is a very famous writer, Jonathan Franzen. His Corrections is very, very famous now. Jonathan Franzen's Corrections. He's a novelist and essayist, and his 2001 novel, satirical family drama, is an award-winning work that's very famous. The Corrections is a novel which has been, I think, translated also. It is a very deep analysis of American life. Throughout the late 20th century, it is spanning. The Corrections is spanning, showing different characters throughout the late 20th century. He has also written The 27th City, that is his debut novel, not very famous. Crossroads, a novel that has come recently, 2021. Please remember, it is part of a trilogy. He says he's going to write a trilogy. This is the first in the trilogy, Crossroads. Then Jeffrey Eugenides. His Virgin Suicides is famous, you might have heard of it. And he got Pulitzer Prize for Middlesex. Middlesex is a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. And he has also written The Marriage Plot. The Virgin Suicides is so famous that it has been translated into many languages across the world. The movie, if you can, you should watch it. And Middlesex is his novel where he talks about a man's self-discovery. A man is talking about, a man is discovering himself. It is about Greek-American immigrant experience, etc. So Middlesex is a book that you should remember because it's Pulitzer Prize winning. Now, this man is very famous, isn't it? Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Easton Ellis is the author of American Psycho. I'm sure anybody who is interested in contemporary literature and movies would have heard about American Psycho. There is a very interesting feature of Bret Easton Ellis. Many of his characters are recurring. They appear in different works. He writes satirical novels of extreme acts and opinions. American Psycho is one such novel. And he's a very sharp satirist. He was... he can write very caustically. Less Than Zero, I think, is also a movie. Less Than Zero has become a movie. And American Psycho is also a very famous movie that I'm sure you have watched. It's a horror movie. It is available in OTT, I'm sure. I have watched it several times. Colson Whitehead is famous for the Underground Railroad and also Nickel Boys. Both these are the Pulitzer Prize winning novels. During the anti-slavery movement, there was a series of houses and people who supported the slaves. That is called the Underground Railroad. And it was inspired by the story of Harriet Tubman. She's a slave narrative writer. She's a slave writer. The Underground Railroad is also a web series in Netflix, I think. Please watch that if you can. The Nickel Boys is also important. Okay. Look up Colson Whitehead. He is black, of course, American black novelist. And then Madeline Miller. Madeline Miller wrote The Song of Achilles. This is interesting. Achilles' story is told from Iliad from the point of view of Patroclus. Patroclus was wounded by Hector, remember, in Achilles' story, and it won the Orange Prize for Fiction and very famous. Circe is retelling the story of Odyssey through the eyes of Circe. So The Song of Achilles and Circe are the important novels of Madeline Miller. So adaptations of Homer, you should know contemporary adaptations of Homer could be an important area that you should understand and read on, because that could be a topic for research also if you want. So I think that brings us to the end of this session. I hope you have enjoyed, and thank you very much. I will come back with 21st century post-colonial writers, Indian writers, etc. This was a very short session. I hope you will read extra, and one day we will do questions also based on contemporary literature. Okay, as I promised, in a few days I will come back. Okay, guys.